Today's Truth Bomb is all about the Fed's biggest misconception. See, they think they can cut through tariff-driven inflation with interest rates, but that blade is dull. I'll show you why monetary policy is all form, no edge, in today's shiny knife, dull blade. I love to cook. I could write an entire book on my joy of cooking, but because that book has already been written, I'll respect your time and keep it basic. I'll posit to you that cooking is the only form of art that is practical in the sense that it can nourish you at the end of the day. But look, I enjoy food, but what I really enjoy most is the process of preparation. I really pride myself on my knife skills of all things, painfully honed, literally, over decades of cooking. In my pursuits, I have accumulated a respectable collection of knives, so you could say I have a fascination with them. And that brings me to a story. I was test driving a friend's kitchen one night. Pots were bubbling, steam was hissing, oil was spattering. I cleaned my board and I got ready for my favorite part of the prep, cutting. I looked over at the knife block and there it was, a 12-inch Japanese Kiritsuke blade. If you know your knives, you know that that is a special blade. 12 inches is rare, and my heart raced as I focused in on the blade. I blocked out all the background noise and reached for that wooden handle, and I pulled it out. Pristine, layered carbon steel, a masterpiece. I was ready to chop like the boss that it was made for. This morning, I want to follow up on yesterday's note where I said that the Fed funds rate has very little impact on consumption, that it's really the wealth effect that drives spending. When stocks go up, people feel richer. They spend more. When stocks go down, they clutch their wallets. It's simple as that. And yeah, the Fed's job? Simple. Two things. Keep inflation under control and maximize employment. Simple in theory, impossible in practice. It's a bit like trying to slice a tomato with a butter knife. You can do it, but it's going to get a little messy. So let's focus in on mandate number one, inflation. Inflation was the story of the 1970s. Then it went away for 3 decades, and then it came back with a vengeance in 2021. The Fed was still dealing with the aftershocks of COVID stimulus when prices started surging. They were slow to react, and when they did, the damage was already done. There are 2 main flavors of inflation worth knowing: demand pull and supply push. Demand pull happens when there's too much money chasing too few goods. Supply push happens when it simply costs more to make or move stuff. One is buyers gone wild. The other is producers raising prices because they want to maintain their margins. Post-COVID, we got a 1-2 punch. Supply chains were a mess. No dock workers, no chips, no meat, no toilet paper. Remember that? You couldn't find Purell to save your life. That was supply push in action. Then the stimulus money hit and everyone went full YOLO. New TVs, new couches, new kitchens. That turned into demand pull. And together, they made the perfect inflation storm. The Fed eventually got the clue. It hiked rates from near 0 to above 5%, and inflation fell from 9 to 3. And then they declared victory, sort of. You see, they kept policy tight until late last year. Then they cut 3 times and stopped again. Why? Because inflation never fully went away. And we got something new now to worry about, and that would be tariffs. When President Trump returned, he brought tariffs back into style like they were a fashion accessory. Tariffs are supply push inflation in its purest form. You raise the cost of imports, companies raise prices, consumers pay more. It's simple. And the Fed, it can't do a damn thing about it. You could double the Fed funds rate and it wouldn't lower the cost of steel, chips, or coffee. All it would do is make borrowing more expensive, slow hiring, and risk a recession. That's why I keep saying the Fed's toolkit isn't a scalpel. It's more like a baseball bat. You can bludgeon the economy, but you can't precisely cut out a specific type of inflation. Some people argue that the Fed fixed inflation last time. I'd argue that the money just ran out. The YOLO energy, it faded, and the wealth effect reversed when the market dropped 25% in 2022. That more than any rate hike brought demand back to earth. Today, the Fed faces a new problem. Tariffs are supply push inflation that rates can't fix, and the labor market is cooling. It's a classic no-win scenario. If they cut too much, the market and fiscal stimulus could reignite inflation. If they stay tight, the job market could snap. And that brings me back to my kitchen story. I picked up that beautiful Kiritsuke blade, wiped it on my towel, and grabbed an onion. I was ready to dazzle the crowd. I slashed down and the knife bounced. I tried it again, still nothing. It was as dull as a government press release. The thing looked perfect, shiny, intimidating, impressive, but it was completely useless. And that, my friends, is exactly how I see monetary policy right now. The Fed's tool looks powerful, sophisticated, high-tech, but against supply push inflation like tariffs, it's completely dull. The Fed can swing that knife all day long. It won't slice through the problem. And until they realize that, we'll keep seeing policy that looks good on paper and fails in practice. So your truth bomb for today is this. A dull knife and a rate hike have one thing in common. They look sharp, but they don't cut where it counts. Join me every day for Wall Street Truth Bombs, where I drop them here before the market figures them out.